Greetings, Benjamin J. from Ben's Trains with another in the series. Well, what you're looking at, of course, is that American Flyer track that I derusted in vinegar. So this is part 4 of the series on derusting track with vinegar. So, just as if I was actually setting this up from scratch, I come down to the music room, as you see. This is our music room, and has a nice big floor with this old rug. This is where my original floor layout was. And I just set the track up, just took it out of the oven, brought it down, or brought it in here on a cookie sheet. In fact, it's still warm. Plugged it all together. I'm using a magnetic lock-on, as you see. I'm using a Marx 50-watt transformer, and this is going to be the grand test. So now when this track arrived, it was useless junk. It was covered, literally, absolutely covered in rust. It was useless. So 24 hours, it's soaked in 4% white vinegar. And then I brought it down to the kitchen sink, filled the sink full of hot water and a box of baking soda, and soaked the track. That deactivated the acetic acid in the vinegar. Rinsed it in clear water, dried it in the oven. I used 150 degrees at 1 hour. That seemed to work just fine. So I put a consist on this track, a Marx 595, an original Marx tender, a Marx, I think it's a refrigerator car, and 2 Marx cabooses. Like I said, an original Marx transformer. So just as if you were setting this thing up with an old set you had found somewhere that was covered in rust. Remember, this is American Flyer track. So in any case, this is the grand test. Wanted to see how this is going to work. So we've gone from junk, and I wanted to document this. I've tried to document every single minute of this. So let's see what happens. So as you see, we've gone from a useless pile of junk track to decent running track that will allow you to set up a layout for pennies on the dollar. Literally, pennies on the dollar. A lot of times you can get this track absolutely free. Now this track came with a Commodore Vanderbilt that I bought, and I got the Commodore Vanderbilt, an additional double reduction motor, and all of this track. And like I said, the track was just absolutely covered in rust. It was useless. And as you see, in 24 hours, we've gone from a useless artifact that couldn't be used for anything at all to running track. I haven't done anything to this track yet except plug it together. I haven't tightened the pins. I haven't tightened the holes. I haven't done anything at all. I just plugged it all together. Like I said, it's still warm. It just came out of the oven. And it is running perfectly. A bit of surging on this end, but like I said, I haven't done anything with the pins yet. So I haven't tightened them. A couple of them are actually missing, but this is how it came. So didn't want to spend any great deal amount of time on repairing the track. I wanted to actually document if it would work or not. And as you see, this old worthless track is running absolutely perfectly. So I had to do nothing at all. I soaked it in vinegar, wiped it down with a sponge, soaked it in hot water with baking soda to neutralize the acid, and dried it in the oven at 150 degrees for about an hour. Like I said, it's still warm. And this is the result. It's running. It's actually running fairly well, considering I have done nothing else to it yet. I haven't tightened the pins. I haven't tightened the holes. I haven't done anything. I took it out of the oven and plugged it together just so I could do this experiment. So a Marx 50-watt transformer using the magnetic lock-on and original American Flyer pre-war track. And as you see, it's up and running. So I've got to say it, don't overlook the junk. You know, you can find a box of old nasty track. In one day, you can have a layout that is up and running. And like I said, you can go to a lot of model shops or train shops, and they'll have a box full of this stuff, and in many cases, they'll give it to you. They can't sell it. They're not going to derust it. It still doesn't look nice, as you see. And the more rusty it was, the darker it will be. So there's a spot over there where obviously it was really rusty, whereas some of it is fair. The thing is, it's conducting electricity and it's running. So you put a couple of minutes time into this, tighten up the pins, tighten up the holes, make sure everything is as it should be, and you have a running track that will cost you pennies on the dollar of anything else you can find. So this was an interesting and fun experiment. It didn't cost anything, $4 for the 2 bottles of vinegar that I used. And as you see, this is running just absolutely perfectly. Could still use some finesse and adjustment. You know, the stuff hasn't been used probably as long as I've been alive. It was just absolutely eaten alive with rust. The thing is, it is now running. And when I took the stuff out of the box, it was junk. It was worthless. You couldn't do anything with it except throw it away. And as you see, 24 hours, that's all it took, and this thing is up and running, and actually running fairly well, considering that I've done nothing to it yet. Anyway, I just wanted to do a video to conclude the series on derusting track with vinegar. So this was all the track that was in that derusting pan, with the exception of these 2 pieces, and these are missing pins. So anyway, just wanted to do a quick follow-up video on derusting track with vinegar. It works. There's no scrubbing involved. There's no labor involved at all, other than wiping it down, drying it off, and assembling it. That's it, nothing else. And as you can see, it's working. So if you can find a box of old track, get yourself a plastic pan, a couple of gallons of white vinegar, soak it for 24 hours or longer, depending on how bad the rust is. Clean it up, tighten all the holes in the pins, and you can have yourself a complete layout for pennies, literally pennies on the dollar of anything else. So just a quick follow-up on derusting track with vinegar. This works. It works really, really well. This track was nothing but junk. But as I always say, don't overlook the junk. So just a quick video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email. BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.